We will be conducting tonight's meeting in person as well as in virtual setting using Zoom. Members of the public may view and listen to the meeting tonight on Wave Channel 18 and online through the city's YouTube channel. If you would like to participate in live public comment via the Zoom platform, please refer to the agenda for instructions. Chair Hutchinson will begin the meeting momentarily.
Good evening. I'd like to call to order the February 19th, 2025 City of Lincoln Planning Commission meeting. Before I call for a roll call, I would like to welcome our newest member of the Planning Commission, Nathan Herzog. And I will be welcoming him, Tony Manning, who is coming again to our commission. He's not here as yet, but I will allude to him when he comes. Second thing, before I call the meeting to order, rather to have a roll call, so I wanted to welcome all of this great audience that's here today. It is so nice to see young people who are taking an interest in city governance, and so I want to welcome you and acknowledge all of you. So with that, Jeannie, may we have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Herzog,
Here.
Commissioner Eric Johnson,
Here.
Commissioner Jerry Johnson, Vice Chairman Gilbert,
Here.
Chair Hutchinson.
Here. So we do have a quorum. Thank you. And I've asked Commissioner Eric Johnson to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please stand. Under the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Do we have any agenda modifications this evening?
Nope, we do not.
Thank you. The next order of business on our agenda is the rotation of chairperson and election of vice chairperson. The standard procedure is the vice chairman rotates into the role of planning commission chairperson if accepted by the vice chairman. So Vice Chairman Gilbert, do you accept the chairmanship of the planning commission?
Or I do.
Thank you.
But that was to my wife.
Now, to make it official, I do need a motion to approve.
So moved.
I have a second. Okay, roll call, please.
Would you like a roll call or voice call?
Voice call is fine.
Let the
All-
record show that Planning Commissioner Tony Manning is here.
Thank
And
you. Welcome. Welcome, Tony. All right. So if all in favor of Vice Chair Gilbert rotating in as chair, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations, Chairman Gilbert. Gavel is now yours.
Well, thank you. Thank you very, very much. We will now, go ahead.
It's official now.
Yeah, they would never think I'm Michelle. So. I'm not that tall. Tony, welcome to the commission again, and we're looking forward to having you participate in our deliberations with your background and experience, and hopefully you'll help us go in the right direction. So.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much. I'm happy to be here.
Good. So the chair will recognize anybody who would like to make a nomination for vice chair. Michelle?
Thank you, Chair. I would like to nominate Commissioner Eric Johnson for the position of vice chair.
Thank you. Do I have a second to that motion?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further nominations? Seeing none, nominations are closed. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries 7-0. Congratulations and
Thank you.
welcome.
Thank you.
That will be 6-0 for the record. We have a vacant position at this time.
Oh, thank you, thank you. Thank you for reminding us. Yes, we do have a vacant position, and our city council is in the process of recruiting a seventh member for us who will, I'm sure, be joining us shortly. Now that we've finished the rotation, we'll go to item 6, which is public comment on non-agenda items within the subject matter jurisdiction of the commission. At this time, anybody that would like to speak to us on any matter that's not on the agenda, we'll deal with that when we get to that agenda item. Please let us know. And can you tell us if we have anybody online?
Chairman Gilbert, we don't have anyone online. I do have 3 cards in my hand.
Please.
Okay, the first one
recognize
I'd like
those
to
people.
call up is Marcia Snap.
Good evening. I want to thank the Planning Commission for the opportunity to speak tonight. I'm here to speak about preserving the spadefoot habitat. We have pictures here. Neither frog nor toad. It's actually, the spadefoot is its own unique species. Though since it looks like a frog or a toad, it is often referred to as the spadefoot frog or spadefoot toad. For background, my name is Marcia Schnapp. I have been a resident of the city of Lincoln for several years. My husband and I were drawn to the city because of all the beautiful open spaces here in the city. Currently, I'm a board member of the Friends of the Lincoln Crossing Nature Preserve. And last year, we successfully got the city council to continue maintaining the nature preserve instead of turning it into a sports venue. In fact, the last year, I don't know if you're aware, we had a pair of bald eagles that came to visit the preserve. How often do you see bald eagles within an urban city limits? So to us, it is what makes the city of Lincoln so special. So it's these sorts of commitments to open space that keeps us here. The western spadefoot is a native to California and Baja California and Mexico. Due to development, its habitat has been slowly destroyed such that it is now listed as a species of special concern. And last year, the state of California has been proposing for listing it under the Endangered Species Act. One of the speakers here tonight, Mr. Riverstein, will address the recent sightings west of the city of Lincoln along Moore Road within the Village 5 specific plan. We were excited to read in the specific plan that it's designed to preserve and promote natural resources that currently exist in the plan area, which include but are not limited to Auburn Ravine, Markin Ravine, additional waterways, drainage facilities, wetlands, and tree canopies. Development will be dutifully and carefully managed in these areas containing or surrounding environmentally sensitive areas. And in order to protect and preserve biological and visual features that exist on the site, approximately 841 acres of open space within the plan area is designated as preserved land. And what we'd like you to do is consider including the spadefoot habitat as part of that preserve area. We would like to work with the Planning Commission going forward. Part of the mitigation may include raising the road bed. We understand that Moore Road will be developed more fully to expand it. One of the ways to help mitigate the threats to the spadefoot, because they don't have a crossing guard like children do. They tend to get up on the roadbed. They're nocturnal, so they go at night, so they get squished. And so what we'd like the Planning Commission consider as part of the mitigation maybe to include raising the roadbed at certain points to allow for a passageway beneath. Again, I want to thank the Planning Commission for the time and look forward to working with the Planning Commission going forward in this regard. Thank you.
Thank you.
I do have a card here from River Steen.
I appreciate you kept your comments within our 3-minute limit. And I just want to mention to the public that we do have a 3-minute limit when the public wishes to speak. So the floor is yours.
Good evening, Lincoln Planning Committee. My name is River Steen. I would like to take this opportunity to talk about the Western Spadefoot.
I could ask you to get a little closer, bring the mic up because we have people online that are
Gotcha.
listening in.
Good? Cool. Good evening, Lincoln Planning Committee. My name is River Steen. I would like to take this opportunity to talk about the Western Spadefoot. As Marcia mentioned, they're neither true frogs nor toads. They're highly specialized amphibians that only live in California. They're uniquely suited for our local ecosystem. They're equipped with hardened spurs on their hind legs, the spades that they're named for, which they use to burrow into the muddy soil at the end of our wet season, when they go mostly dormant and become difficult to detect during the dry season. Thanks to these very specific adaptations, they're perfectly suited to fill the niche of the unique habitat around Lincoln. Currently, the habitat in question consists mainly of agricultural land fed by the Auburn Ravine watershed, which affords the spadefoots the alternating flood and dry seasons they depend on. In the rainy season, the fields fill with temporary vernal pools, essentially large rain puddles that form in the same area year after year. Most of these vernal pool habitats in Placer County have already been eliminated by development and segmented by roadways, with some former known spadefoot populations being eradicated entirely. These individuals may be the last stable population in Placer County, all within a range of only a few miles, and I'm asking for your help to make sure that they remain here. Despite their many adaptations and incredible hardiness, spadefoots cannot survive extensive habitat modification. Amphibians are considered indicator species, meaning that since they're extremely sensitive to changing conditions and pollution, they're usually some of the first animals to die off, an indicator of what's to come. The development happening on the west of Lincoln will cause significant damage to this population of spadefoots, alongside 2 species of federally endangered vernal pool shrimp, as we create a direct connecting route between Highway 65 and Highway 99, introducing more overnight traffic, especially trucking. Despite the relative isolation of this area and the nocturnal habits of the spadefoot, they still already fall victim to significant road mortality within the intended area of development. Due to the sensitive nature of this vernal pool habitat and its location within the already protected Auburn Ravine watershed, I believe the clearest course of action is to keep as much as this unique habitat intact as possible. Thankfully, we have several great examples of mitigation which have proven to be effective elsewhere in California, such as elevated roadways, thoughtful drainage infrastructure, and amphibian underpasses, which have been named as best practices by the United States Geological Survey. Given that a significant portion of this land also falls within Lincoln High School's farm, our proper stewardship will afford Lincoln students the chance to observe rare wildlife in person and learn the importance of proper land management in a sensitive, dwindling ecosystem. By developing responsively and proactively, we have an opportunity to coexist with wildlife that can't be found anywhere other than California before they can't be found anywhere at all. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Next card I have is Catherine, Veru Slater.
Slater.
Slater,
Yeah.
you.
Hi, my name is Catherine Bruce Slater. Before retiring, I was an attorney for the California Department of Fish and Wildlife, where I helped develop numerous restoration plans for wildlife adversely affected by oil spills. Currently, I volunteer as the outings chair for the Sierra Club Placer Group. I'm here today to also support River Steen and to discuss the threats facing the city of Lincoln's western spadefoot toad population from the Village 7 and 5A development projects, the importance of this population, and to encourage you to work with the developers for these projects to help ensure that appropriate mitigation measures are implemented to protect this vulnerable population. I learned about the potential threats to the spadefoot from construction activities associated with these development projects when Mr. Steen contacted the Sierra Club Placer Group and told us about the increasing numbers of spadefoot toads he was observing dead on Moore Road from the increase in traffic along that road. This portion of Moore Road separates vernal pool habitat and upland areas that together form the home to Lincoln's spadefoot population. This increase in traffic was anticipated by the Village 7 plan applicant, and the plan actually spells out that they will be contributing to the future costs of widening Moore Road. Fortunately, the Village 5A specific plan includes provisions to preserve and promote natural resources. However, it doesn't appear that any spadefoot surveys were conducted as part of that planning process. So I'm hoping that by providing you with information about this local population and the worsening impacts that are happening from the road activity, that you'll be able to work with these developers and make sure that appropriate measures are taken in place. Put in place. Protecting this local population is particularly important since they may well be the only remaining spadefoot population in Placer County. The California Department of Fish and Wildlife has designated spadefoot toads as a priority 1 species of concern to help focus the attention of state and local officials on the conservation risks facing these toads, not toads, and to enable planners to take measures to prevent further species decline and stabilize key populations before a formal listing is required under the California Endangered Species Act. On the federal side, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service has already proposed listing spadefoots as a threatened species, largely due to habitat threats and the effects of climate change. Based on my previous experience at the California Department of Fish and Wildlife, I know the importance of protecting listed species. I also recognize how difficult it can be to plan and implement projects benefiting elusive species like the western spadefoot. And it is my hope that by bringing these potential mitigation projects to your attention and this population to your attention at this time, that you can work together with these developers to ensure that appropriate mitigation is implemented to help divert, harm to this species. Thank you.
Chairman Gilbert, I don't have any more cards nor nobody hands raised online.
Let me, thank you very much. Let me mention that this planning commission can only deal with items that are on our agenda and have previously been notified the public and any other interested parties. So we could not take any action on this in any case. However, I believe this item drives more to the policy of the city, which is really set at the city council level. And with that in mind, I'd ask the city attorney if maybe the information that was shared with our planning commission tonight might best be referred to the city council through the staff, and any appropriate direction or action would come from them.
Certainly, I can certainly refer this information to our city council. We can also refer it to the majority developer in Village 5.
Great, thank you. Thank you very much for your presentation. Did we say there are no more public comments?
That is correct.
Great. We'll go to item 7, informational items from staff. Do we have any items you'd like to bring before us?
We do have one item.
Please.
Right. Good evening. Christian Svens, Community Development Director. Tonight, we're taking the opportunity with our first PC hearing of 2025 to give a brief overview of the Community Development Department's planning division and its operations, and more importantly, its efforts moving into 2025. So this is more than just a quick informational item, so sit back, relax. I'm not going to try and get into every slide. This slide deck in and of itself will be emailed to you and is as a reference, and it has resources, websites that you'll see after the conclusionary slide. that just kind of for your information at your fingertips to have, to help you out, and basically frame up kind of where we're at and what we're doing. So yeah, firstly, just wanted to welcome our new planning commissioners, Nathan Herzog and Tony Manning back to the Planning Commission. And just to note, as Commissioner Gilbert noted, that we are, council is hoping to select a 7th planning commissioner by our next planning commission meeting. So again, this will just be a quick overview. A lot of these slides I'll gloss over. Some of the slides I'm using as talking points just to make a note or, to note what we're kind of doing in that area. And then spoiler alert, we do have some homework for the Planning Commission. And this is our general plan evaluation. We'll be speaking about that more in depth as we go forward. And again, we have these resources that will just be there for your information. Just quick CDD org chart, as you'll see on the right side, that's our planning division, currently consisting of 3 folks, Mel, Efren, and Michaela. We do have 2 vacancies. We are currently actively trying to hire a staff planner. We got close on a couple of tries, but they eventually declined, so we're back to the drawing board, but we do have a list to work off of. And we're also trying to backfill Jessie Cross' position. She left us for the city clerk, and so we're happy for her, but we're also missing her a little bit too. So this is just again, a reference slide. It kind of goes through what our current planning, so we break down our planning division into our current planning and our long-range planning. So in our current planning, the meat of it is processing projects, and this is just basically a timeline and kind of a list of those projects or that process. So I would add also that it's not just this, that project processing the planning, current planning does. It's also processing ministerial projects and business licenses and so forth. So this kind of just gets into our decision-making bodies, outlining those. I wanted to highlight our design review board. It meets monthly, and it is designed to advise you, the Planning Commission. We have 3 members. Tonight, you're going to be selecting one of yourselves to be on that commission or on the board. We did select an architect that we're excited to bring on board, Sean Friedis, and so he's going to be joining the DRB as well. It should be noted that the DRB just makes consensus-based recommendations to the PC. And lastly, I really want to highlight, we've been working on for the last couple months is a scoring system for the DRB to better ground their recommendations in our standards, so that we kind of have a little bit more framework for them to make decisions. Again, decision bodies, just highlighting here, City Council, that's where we take a lot of our long-range projects end up. They're legislative decisions, code changes, specific plan amendments, general plan amendments, and appeals. And then it should be noted that we have a strategic plan. The directors are going to be meeting with the City Council later this month to tune up that strategic plan, but we do have 2 goals in that strategic plan that CDD is currently responsible for. One is the formulation of the downtown master plan, which we're currently doing. And then 2 is the evaluation of this general plan, which is what we're going to be discussing a little bit further. So again, so we had the current side of our planning division. Now we have the long-range planning side. And so highlighting some of the big efforts that we're taking in our long-range planning kind of subdivision. Again, the downtown master plan, just to highlight here, we have a charrette, a 3-day charrette open house that's going to be in McBean Pavilion, March 25th through the 27th. So we're going to be starting to advertise that aggressively in the next couple weeks. Again, there's also a link that's in your PowerPoint to that charrette website as well. Secondly, we are embarking on a diagnosis of our Lincoln Title 18 code. So that is typically a code update's a very sprawling effort. And so we're getting a diagnosis to essentially give us the scope of what this update would entail. So we've gotten that off the ground. We're hoping to have that diagnosis complete by June 30th, the end of this fiscal year. And then that will inform us of what we're up against for the rest of updating our Lincoln Municipal Code. So that's a large effort as well. And then lastly, again, we have this general plan evaluation that we're rolling out tonight. That's not to be confused with this with the general plan amendment, a separate amendment that we're expediting because it is part of our housing element implementation measures. It's urgent for a few projects that want to take advantage of it. And it's also kind of a higher level action item implementation measure for the state in the sense that with our housing needs and housing crisis, they're looking to increase density. And so we're going to be looking to change our densities for our high density zones from 20 units per acre to 30 units per acre. That's rolling out as we speak. This is just a slide again. It's kind of an iterative slide, but just basically kind of to highlight the fact that staff is always working on improving our processes. And all these things that I've been mentioning, the code update, this DRB scoring sheet, the general plan evaluation, they will be with a focus on how do we make projects, how do we expedite our review of projects? How do we make things go quicker? How do we do things better or more rigorously to hew with the standards? That said, we are up against noticing requirements, and we just learned the state has increased our noticing period for code changes to 20 days. So in some ways, the state's making things longer. So we have a 20-day noticing period for code changes, and then on top of that, we have to get our advertisements to the Lincoln Messenger 7 days prior to that 20 days. So that's almost a month out prior to hearing. So literally after one hearing, the next day you'd be having to post for the next hearing next month. So those are just some of the constraints that we're up against in terms of timing and noticing. And this again is for your reference as well. So jumping just to a quick slide again for reference, I think most of you are very familiar with the general plan. I just want to highlight the fact that our general plan currently is 20 years old, getting on about 20 years old. You know, they probably started working on this in 2005. They adopted it in 2008. So we're getting halfway there. That is why the council is very keen on having us evaluate this general plan. They want to specifically look at kind of the vision for the villages that are not yet annexed. So we have 7 villages, Village 1, 5, and 7. 7 is almost, well, 7 will be probably asking for a few more annexations. 5 was just annexed. Village 1 is underway, just about halfway done. So the whole south side of Village 1 is now being mapped out. So we have a lot to digest with the current villages that we've just annexed, 5, 7, and 1. So I think we're kind of trying to reevaluate maybe what the future envisions for villages 2, 3, 4, and 6, and where those and what priorities those might have in terms of the general plan and the build out of Lincoln. So, and then as mentioned, Efren will be actually giving a presentation on our progress report of where we are with our implementation measures for the general plan and more specifically the housing plan as well. So to cut to the chase of it, this is kind of what we're hoping that, well, assigning maybe to the Planning Commission is an evaluation of the goals by element, and we're asking you to rank the goals of each of these 4 elements: the land use element, the housing element, and the transportation element, and the open space element. So there's about 10 goals in each element. So we started kind of contemplating with the policies, and it was just overwhelming. There's 140 policies just related to those 4 elements. And so we thought, okay, how do we break this down? So we're thinking if you rank the goals, and I'll get to that on this spreadsheet next, that we'll get a sense of priorities and importance of which is the most critically important to the city's development. So with that, we're going to be emailing the Planning Commission this spreadsheet, which basically takes those 4 elements and then lists the goals in those, each of those elements. So for the transportation element, there's literally just 6 goals. They're shown right here. And you would, under this column, priority for city development, rank that from 1 to 6. So with 1 being the most critically important, then to 6 being the least important. And obviously, there's a column here for additional comments. Here you can add any color on your ranking, any thoughts as to the wording, strength, and efficacy of the policy. This is optional, but of course, hugely helpful for us to understand. Does this goal make sense? Is this goal implementable? You know, where are the critical problems or fatal flaws with these goals? So, of course, staff, Michaela's going to be emailing you this spreadsheet after this meeting, and it will have more direction in that email. We're looking to get these spreadsheets back in 3 weeks by March 12th, so that we can aggregate them, average out your responses, and then report back to you on where you guys kind of individually or as a body rank these goals. So that is pretty much the information item, is that we're going to be getting this out to you. We're also going to be getting out the PowerPoint as well. And again, here are just the slides with some of the websites that are just helpful, just general help. But yeah, obviously this is a collaborative undertaking, and we are open to comments and feedback. And we're just looking to kick this off, kind of start with a ranking of the goals, and then that'll help us kind of to dive into the policies and to wordsmith those as well. So with that, open to questions and comments.
I have a couple. Where are we on city council selecting our 7th member? I mean, is it soon enough that we could get that person involved in this evaluation?
I
My
honestly don't know.
understanding was that they're
I spoke
hoping-
to interim city clerk Hope, and she notified me that the applications deadline date was last Friday. So she will work with city council on their availability to do the interviews. They are hoping to do interviews the first week of March and then make a selection before the next PC meeting, because the next PC meeting will be March 19th.
I'd love to get our new commissioner the opportunity to give their input,
We can send the information.
if that's possible. If it's not, you'll have to go with just the 6 of us, but, okay. And my second question was, who should we talk to on staff if we have questions as we go through this?
We're gonna, Michaela is gonna be emailing you, and
Very
again,
good.
she'll have this email kind of directions, and I think it's best to have her be the point person. We're all
Perfect.
backing her up on this. We sat in rooms for hours, kind of sweating through this, and
I understand, but having a.
she'll
point
be
person-
your point person. yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, I've included in the email, essentially, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. So I'm your girl.
You're great to work with. Thank you. Any other questions, please, Jerry?
I would find it easier to do what you're asking us to if first we had staff evaluate the existing village plans for 1, 5, and 7 to see how closely those align with the goals and priorities of the general plan. So it would show areas that maybe we have some shoulds or promotes or wishy-washy language there that's not getting through, and maybe we need to consider firming up the language or providing incentives, either financially or density-wise. But it's difficult for us to know how effective the plan has been, unless we see how we did in the past 20 years.
Yeah, I don't. Million ways to skin a cat, I think, on this. I think
Well, did we
we
get,
can kind of
did we
talk
get,
about
did we
that.
get Central
Yeah.
Village, did we get Central Commercial Public Service centers in these villages? Did we get a connected trail system? Did we preserve the open space and kind of make sure that the open space was connected with the trails, and trails were connected with parks and with employment centers and with, you know, the things that the plan was trying to get at? Did it work? Is it, and I know that's a little premature on these, but to the extent that we have written approved plans, I don't think it's entirely premature.
Yeah. I think we can continue to discuss that. You know, we're open to this. Like, it was, I think I was trying to allude to the fact that, like, we're like, how do we do this? You know, and I think we're just kind of taking, like, what we have from the council in the sense of, hey, let's start to evaluate the general plan. And we're like, well, let's just start with the goals. Let's get a prioritization of the goals. And then that'll start to kind of guide us into maybe further discussions on evaluation of how the plans worked out, or the shalls and the shoulds. We started again, like with looking at the policies, and it was just too much. There's 140 policies. And we were thinking, oh, well, we'll have, you know, planning commission maybe grade these policies 1 through 5 on like a shall or a should. Does this wording make sense? Does it effectuate the goal? So we're kind of starting, I think, in a little bit of a bigger picture, and also maybe to kind of get the planning commission as a whole engaged in the general plan, or really just looking at the general plan from a goal perspective. It's pretty manageable with just about 40, literally just 40 goals, about 10 each in each of those 4 elements. And then I think as we report back, then we can maybe start to think like, how do these, yeah, I would just think that like evaluating how these plans grew out versus the general plan, we're going to have to take that back and, you know, think about that and brainstorm on how that really plays out with what we have in terms of our resources right now, you know.
But I think that's
3
a critical
plans.
process. 'Cause
Yeah.
How do you know?
I mean, maybe you could bring like more specific advice on how to do that, or, you know, kind of more direction on that. So we welcome that.
I have Jerry's top 10.
Well, we know, we do know, we do know some of those policies, and, you know, we do, the policies, you know, the shall encourage and the should and the shall, and, you know, those types of things, like, those are getting into the weeds of all those policies and how we strengthen those, or just say, this is not working. So I think as a starter, as a baby step, we're looking just to kind of get these goals prioritized, thought of, contemplated, comments on them, and then we'll start to iterate onto like how maybe we can manifest this against what's been built, which is, I think, where the tire, you know, like you say, did it actually work?
In listening to Jerry's comments and yours, Christian, it made me think it would be nice to have some idea, dovetailing with Jerry, with the successes that we've had so far. I would think that you would have some concept of, within the general plan, we expected so many housing authorities, whatever, and here's what we've accomplished. And I think that might help us a little bit in, you know where I'm going with
So
this?
that, exactly. And so we have the annual progress report that actually Efren's going to be presenting tonight. So we're kind of dovetailing that in this actual one meeting, in the sense that that's looking at what we accomplished for housing units to the state. I'm not sure that's getting to where maybe Commissioner Johnson is thinking about, like the aesthetic, the more visionary goals that are a bit more broad or wide ranging or less specific. And then in that case, are they getting what the community's vision for Village 5 is and was, or is, you know, did we get those centers commercials? Did those happen? You know, was the language that says in the general plan, thou shalt put a commercial center in the center of the specific plan, was that a shall encourage? Or was that you're required to do that?
In that
So-
case, you're required. as I
Right,
read it.
so when we've had this discussion kind of ongoing last year, a little bit about like what staff is up against when it says shall encourage. Is that a requirement? We'll encourage them. Will they do it? Will the planning commission vote, to say, no, you didn't meet that intent of that policy, Yeah, exactly, exactly. Like, how do we shall encourage with a requirement? So those are the types of things that I think we're gonna try and get to, because we're really looking at it from like policy efficacy. Is if it's an important policy, I think that's where we're starting. If it's an important goal, then like, are the policies that back that up strong enough to get to that goal? So we have to start somewhere. And I think we're trying to start at the goal level. It's pretty manageable to do 40 goals, 10 each in each of the 4 elements, and kind of start to think about how passionate is the planning commission about these goals. And then we can kind of say like, okay, well, these policies don't really effectuate those goals. So that's the next step. That's our, what we're theorizing, our hypothesis of how to break this down, I guess, of how to approach this at this point.
Chair Gillick, so I think what I've heard might be a little bit different. We get lost a lot of times, especially in panels like this, where we want to talk about what went right? Look at what we accomplished. And I think what we really, and what I heard what you're saying, really what I heard is that I think what we'd like to know is what went wrong, right? It doesn't mean that it's finger pointing. It means how do we get better? How do we give our citizens of Lincoln the best we can do? What went wrong? It's easy to put a list of what went right? And cloud over what went wrong, because that's where we need to get better, or that's what we need to do different. So that's where the opportunity is. And I do agree in a sense, and I don't disagree with what you're asking. I think if we could give you some goals or rate what we think we need to do, I think that is important to you. But what I hear the board asking for, what's important to us is to know what you guys think went wrong and maybe some stuff that went right. But I'd like to know where our opportunities are to get better. I love your presentation. I think you're trying to give us information to do the best we can. So let's figure out what have we done wrong in the past and how do we get back on track? And it may be a lot, it may be a little, right? But I think we'd love to get your opinions on that.
Absolutely. And I mean, just dropping this on you, there's really no other way. We just want to get this underway. So like the first step, evaluate some goals, dig into the general plan. It's all going to be set up for you in the spreadsheet, really right there. It'll get you guys thinking. We come back next month. You all have ideas. We have ideas. We collaborate. We take it to the next step. It's kind of a choose your own adventure. I don't really know how to get there right now. All I can do is kind of say like, let's do this. Let's have something, a step. And so we just want to roll that out, and then we're going to keep talking and have more ideas on how to get there. But I like, we've already gotten a lot of ideas just from this, right? But we need to just, from my standpoint as a managing this division, to kind of have like some concrete, like little things that we can roll out and control, how to control this. Kind of a wide ranging ask, right? Typically you have a consultant, pay a consultant $1 million to do a general plan update. So we're trying to kind of approach this both from your standpoint, like for what the planning commission wants, and then we'll kind of evaluate that too. And we were thinking of us doing a separate kind of ranking for staff, and or then adding, we had a column actually, we had thought of kind of adding a column of like where this applied or to what projects these policies actually were implemented or used. So we can kind of revisit adding that column. There was many columns on which to kind of evaluate, right? But for your purposes, we tried to simplify it into just like ranking, getting you guys engaged in the goals, and then moving on from there.
Vice Chair Johnson.
Thank you. No, I just want to take a moment and thank city staff, city council, and colleagues for undertaking this. I appreciate it's kind of a big lift, to say the least. But I think it's really important to echo, my fellow commissioners' comments. I look forward to looking at the opportunities. I know some of us have been eagerly, or I guess patiently waiting for an opportunity to kind of reevaluate, the general plan, because it's an award-winning plan, when it was built. I know Commissioner Jerry Johnson was very involved in that early on, and a lot of work went into that, a lot of community input. And so, yeah, it is interesting to see, just over the time, how it's gone. But then kind of taking a moment to really take a look at it, kind of see where we're at, and then what opportunities there are, what are the priorities moving forward. So I just wanted to say, thank you. Really appreciate the opportunity to kind of dive into it again and look at it to kind of help get us on track if needed, or, provide some new insight. I don't know. So even though it's homework, I'm looking forward to it. So thanks.
We tried to make it as, simple and approachable as possible for this one, and we'll see where it goes, I think, as we move forward.
Okay, thank you, Christian. Appreciate your presentation. Thanks for the warm welcome, commissioners. Appreciate being part of the team here. I understand what you're asking, and I'm happy to rank. I might solicit some community feedback on that and try to engage, people's thoughts and see where people are. I understand the fact-finding mission and appreciate the opportunity to engage in it. So,
Thank you. Yeah, and please use the additional comments column, I guess, of like adding any ideas that come to mind, and then we can just kind of see where those ideas land and take it from there. So
We can't do like 0.5. We need to keep everything whole numbers.
no, that's the razor's edge, right?
Yeah,
That's the
yeah.
Occam's razor where you have to make a choice. I think that's probably, we'll engage the thinking in this in some way, I know they're all important, but I think there's some exercise there that will kind of lock us in.
Yeah, I'm also glad that staff will be participating in that because we'll learn from each other, I think, in this. And so looking forward to the homework.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, again, I was just trying to reiterate that, like, we didn't just give this off to you. We've been in a room for the past month, kind of like being like, how do we do this? Like, whoa, there's ranking this way, there's ranking. And it's been really stimulating. It's also very challenging in order, to kind of move this forward. So our wheels are spinning on this, and we're just going to kind of try and figure out where we land, I think, using kind of the first step of, all right, we have a ranking of goals. All right, we see where these things, like, people are most passionate about. Or, okay, now maybe this will point us in another direction. But I think getting to Jerry's, Commissioner Johnson's point is like, how did we do? And so we'll think on that and see how we can approach that. I don't have an answer for you right now.
That completes item 7A. Item 8 is a disclosure of ex parte communication. Starting down that end, does anybody have anything to report? Nope.
I do not have anything.
Nope. Nope.
No.
Nothing to report from the commission. We'll now go to item 9, which is our consent calendar. And we'll review and approve the December 18th, 2024 meeting minutes.
Second.
You have a motion and a second? Roll call, please.
Would you like a roll call or a voice call?
We'll have a voice call. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries
I'm going to
6.
abstain. I'm abstaining. I wasn't
Abstain.
here.
I'm doing the
So-
same.
Abstaining. So we're going to
Yeah.
4-0-2. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next thing on the agenda is item 10A, clothing donation bins CUP, a conditional use permit for the construction and operation of 3 clothing donation bins within the Lincoln Hills Town Center at 61 Lincoln Boulevard on Assessor's Parcel Number 330-170-004, property owner Lincoln Hills Town Center. Staff report, please.
There we go. Good evening, Planning Commissioners. Michaela Noble, Associate Planner here with the Community Development Department. The project we have before you is a conditional use permit application for the construction and operation of 3 clothing donation bins. The proposed project is located at 61 Lincoln Boulevard within the existing Lincoln Hills Town Center parking lot and is zoned general commercial. The project is bounded by commercial uses to the north, residential to the east and west, and commercial and open space to the south. The proposed project will occupy 1 parking stall within the existing Lincoln Hills Town Center parking lot and will be situated near the southern property line. As stated in the Lincoln Municipal Code, outdoor storage and displays, including donation bins, are considered a conditional use within commercial districts. The proposed project consists of the construction and operation of 3 donation bins. This is an unmanned facility that operates 24/7. Cameras will provide 24-hour surveillance to monitor the site. Conditions of approval will be applied to regulate project operations. The conditions of approval pertain to regular maintenance of the project site, including the area surrounding the bins and the bins themselves. As outlined in the staff report, the proposed project meets the criteria outlined in the Lincoln Municipal Code for conditional use permit approval. Staff recommends that the Planning Commission determine that the project is exempt from CEQA and adopt a resolution approving conditional use permit for the construction and operation of 3 clothing donation bins subject to conditions of approval. The city has not received any public comments pertaining to this project. Thank you.
Questions? We have questions of staff?
I do. Were there conditions of approval other, in addition to what we see before us?
So the conditions were provided as part of the resolution. Those are the conditions that are listed. If you have any questions about any of them, let me know.
Well, I'm sort of surprised I didn't see a bond requirement or a deposit requirement in case the city has to step in and clean up or pay someone to have it cleaned up.
So they'll be working with the property owner to essentially have a lease agreement for the property, to where if there are issues, they'll have to kind of work with the property owner. We do have some conditions that any kind of graffiti or defacement of the bins must be regulated or cleaned up within 48 hours. But that's kind of the only conditions we have related to that.
It does give us some exposure, but okay.
To the extent that there was illegal dumping or any of that kind of activity, it's specifically called out in the CUP, but it also would be a code enforcement issue. It is, but so are bonds and insurance, so.
Thank you. Just a couple questions. I know it mentioned it's kind of under video surveillance. Are those cameras provided by the applicant for those bins specifically, or is it just in general that area is monitored by video?
I do have a representative here from not the ownership group, the property management group. Thank you. To kind of answer any questions regarding those, the installation of the cameras and who
Okay.
they're covered by.
Yeah, I'm just kind of curious because I know it's like talking about monitoring for trash dump, whatever. So I'm just curious what that process is if they
Yeah.
have access to that to know.
Yeah. And we do have a condition within that requires someone from the applicant team to go out to the site at least 5 times a week to empty the bins, kind of do a kind of a routine inspection. They have to take pictures of the site to kind of ensure that it meets standards and is cleanly and is maintained in a good way. But member of the applicant team is here. Perfect, come on up.
Good evening. My name is Petko. I'm representing the applicant here, Tex Green. As you probably know, we have around 200 locations around the SAC area. You've probably seen our donation bins like everywhere. We're working with a lot of different landlords like shopping plazas and gas stations and liquor stores and so on. Well, yeah, we're using a special system, software system, monitoring all the donation bins with what quantity they collect, and based on that, the system calculates how often they need to be visited and maintained. So basically, based on that, we are planning our daily routes and collect all the locations throughout the area. And so far, well, this system has been working quite well. We also take care of all the trash or eventually whatever, people just dump stuff around the bins, which is not allowed, of course. It says on the bins that this is only for clothes and shoes. It's a donation bin, not like a trash site or dump site. But anyway, we are taking care of the trash. We collect, our drivers collect everything, and we take care of the place to be like clean and nice. Or graffiti, we clean this graffiti within usually 12, 20, 24 hours or so.
Okay. And thanks for providing that. So it sounds like there's some kind of software monitoring, I guess, within the bin to help alert you with different things. And then I guess as far as like, I just saw it was, I just wanted to clarify, so the cameras, that's not like your own system you're putting up monitoring, that's just kind of in general the property?
No, yeah,
type thing?
usually the shopping plazas, they have their own monitoring surveillance systems. And so we don't have anything in the bins, but yeah, we have, when we get the in place, so we're taking picture of the whole area around the bins. And if there is anything, yeah, of course, they're taking care of it immediately.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. And then one of my other questions is location of the bins. I see on the one diagram where they had them proposed currently kind of on the side in the front. Within the picture used, there was stuff kind of sitting around out there within the picture. So I guess that's one of my concerns, is like how quickly that stuff will be removed. And then I guess the other part of that is in all the language I read and even the conditional use, it just says one parking spot. And I know there's parking spots around behind the building. So I guess what I'm suggesting is some kind of conditional use to place it a little bit more behind the building instead of in the front, where customers may be using those spots there, and then also just kind of the site of the bins. I know where they're put right now, it's kind of like one of the main entrances. So it's one of the prominent things people will be seeing when they come to Lincoln coming in. So I'm just curious if there's like better placement, not directly visible, kind of coming straight in.
Well, yeah, we've had the bins on this location since maybe 2 years, and they were in the back, but then the people, they don't see them, so they don't work. And the purpose of these bins is to collect, the old clothes and shoes, and we recycle them. So we've tried to put them in the back where like the dumpsters are, and it's not working. So we just move them back in the front. I mean, the point is to people to know about these bins so they use them.
Or how about in some of the areas you've had them behind, have there been any just like signs, I guess maybe placed to kind of like direct people back there, or just alert people, hey, there's a donation bin just behind?
Well, we never did that. But yeah, about the spot or the parking spot, we usually agree on that with the landlord. In this case, the shopping plaza landlord.
Okay.
So if this spot is not like suitable or there are any issues of some kind, we just talk about it and they offer a different spot or we offer and we agree on that. So it works better for both sides.
Okay. Yeah, I guess for me, that's my only pause or consideration is if there's a slightly better location, you know, definitely have them, but if there's maybe an opportunity to, I guess, I don't know if hide's the right word, but yeah, but maybe just a slightly different spot that would still only occupy one spot, but yeah, I'm curious to hear
Well,
other thoughts.
yeah, the bands, they've been on that spot for a year or so and it was working quite well. But if there isn't necessity, we can talk with the landlord to agree on a different spot.
That's all I have for now.
Yes.
Yeah, I have a couple of questions. And this might be for staff, but isn't there already a collection, donation collection thing behind Safeway, or there was?
So yes, it was, that's the recycling center.
Okay.
The bins that he's referring to, they actually were operational previously, but code enforcement was called and they cooperated and removed the bins immediately and did apply for a CUP to be in compliance. So they were removed and now they're applying to meet our codes and
And
standards.
then directly across Ferrari Ranch in the new commercial site there, don't we have a Goodwill moving in there that'll also have collection site? Right? I would like to get feedback from staff about how much consideration was put into the location of these bins as well. I frequent that area, so I know it pretty well. That location is probably one of the most narrow locations within the entire parking lot. So I see a safety concern for our community because people are going to naturally just stop their car and want to get out. I think this only takes a second and throw their donation in versus finding a parking spot. I think behind the building would be much more suitable, where if you look at the overhead space, there's a large area where not the flow of traffic. Like I said, it's extremely narrow, right? It is concerning to me as well, and I've thought through how does this fit the general plan. I mean, the parking lot is there to be a parking lot. We've got TGI moving to town. Even the picture that was put into the presentation shows whatever you want to call it, whether it's trash or additional items set up against it. I tried to get a picture today before I came here because I went through
Here you
this
go.
last night.
Pass it down to Tony. You beat me to the punch, but we're thinking the same.
So, I mean, this is the sales pitch, and it failed. And there's a spot in Rockland, and I tried to get there tonight. I was 3 minutes late to the meeting. I didn't make it to get a picture of the same thing. And it's full of debris left around it, right? And I don't think that's what the shopping center is meant to be. I think if you want to have a business, I think you rent a business spot. You don't rent a parking spot. And I want to make things work, and I try to see how does this fit into our general plan, and I just don't think it does. And does it bring a service to our city that's really needed? I would like to really see us go back to the drawing board and come up with something that addresses safety. That is a terrible location for safety. There's nowhere for anybody to park. There's 4 spots next to it, and those spots are almost always taken. It's a 2-lane road right there. It's the main road coming in and out. And like I said, people are going to just stop their car and halt traffic. And I think we can do better. And that's where I sit with things. So I would like some feedback from staff on, was any of that taken into consideration? Do you have any data for me to tell me that my assumptions are wrong? Or was it not taken into consideration?
So the location being where it is, there is the visibility aspect of, yes, if they're, I totally understand of, aesthetics wise, yes, they would look better in the back of Safeway, but I do not drive behind Safeway personally, so the visibility and the use of them would kind of become extinct. There would be no purpose for them. No one would utilize them, and it doesn't serve the community in that benefit. There are, like you mentioned, there are parking spaces that are nearby. There's no traffic data about, people stopping in front of those bins, and just hopping out real quick and putting their donations in. We don't have any traffic analysis, wasn't really required for a project like this. Are there any other points that I've missed from your questions?
There may be a way to condition it, if there are complaints, if we receive like a 3-strike complaints or start to observe those issues, that
We can always revoke,
reevaluate
essentially.
the CUP
Yeah.
or, so there's ways to maybe address your concerns with like, why letting this go forward? I think we probably,
Right. It's been a few years since I've been on the planning commission. The last time I was on, I think our city, in the history of anybody on the board, which was there's about 50 years of experience on our board. I think the city had revoked one conditional use permit at that point. I don't know what we've done over the last 4 years, but it's not something we do too often. I think our goal would be to not have to use that as a way to say we can always take it away. I think we need to do better and get it right. And know that we
they're
can always take it
conditional
away.
They're conditional use permits,
Understand.
so they
I
are
understand.
that.
So you mentioned that there's cameras and that they take pictures 5 days a week. Is that something that our planning department plans on monitoring those pictures? Or where do those pictures go?
So those pictures will be funneled through the applicant's system to ensure essentially it's kind of a check off that you've reviewed the site, you've cleaned it up, and you've left it in a good condition.
So those pictures are used for them,
Correct.
right? They don't come to
Correct.
anyone? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I wanted clarity on that. Okay, my questions are done. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I have a question, sir. Would you mind explaining to me the process when you clean out the bins? When you come and pick up the items, what is there a truck used? You come up to the bin, do you empty it, and how long does that take? Can you explain that to me?
Yeah, we are using box trucks.
Okay.
Usually stops nearby, and it takes for to empty 3 full bins, it probably between 10 and 15 minutes.
Okay.
But
So
since we're visiting a site like more often, obviously, that we don't get to the point where the bins are fully full, like 100% full. We're trying to avoid that with monitoring all this, all the process happening within our system. So, yeah, usually less than 10 minutes.
Okay, and then is there 2 men usually, or
Yeah,
2 men with a box truck?
yeah.
Is going to pull up in front of the bin, 15 minutes, unload them, and then be on their way.
Yeah.
So you'll probably be blocking cars in that space for about 15 minutes.
Not on that spot, because that's the last parking spot, and when you park the truck facing the back, it's you're not blocking anything.
Okay,
It's just behind the building.
okay, thank you.
Can I jump on top of that question? Can you show us, I'm sorry, can you put the diagram up and show us where it's behind the building for that truck? That's a great point. Yeah.
Essentially, you're asking where would that parked truck on this diagram, if you want to point it out.
Yeah, thanks, I can clarify. I'm wondering about the pickup process. We're voting on CEQA, if this is, CEQA exempt. And so we're probably avoiding some studies in there, but yeah, where would the box truck come in?
If I could kind of piggyback on that, are you actually removing the materials from inside the box, or are you trading the box for another box? Okay, you're leaving those are kind of permanent boxes then? Okay.
The applicant pointed, and I'm showing here that the truck would park here and they would carry the materials, the bags or whatever it may be to the truck in that area.
You mind just walking over and pointing on the screen?
It would be in that L, if you will, where the truck would be.
Yeah, and if you feel more comfortable, we can add a condition essentially saying, during pickup that the truck cannot block the driveway to where you have to park into a spot to where there shouldn't be that issue.
If I could just say something, my particular concern is if you're looking to the south of that, there is a trail coming out of Sun City that goes into behind the Starbucks that's there. Am I correct? Yeah, that's the area. And at one time, maybe 2 years ago, there was one of those bins. And what I would observe, because I'm there frequently in the morning, is if it was busy, and remember, these bins are high, and so not everybody can put their merchandise or donations into the thing that's coming down, that it gets dumped. And then we know we have prevailing winds, and I used to walk those trails, lots of trash, including people's donation stuff. And I think that's one of the aesthetic issues that we're all concerned about is, will it become, the bins themselves are fine. They're colorful, they're bright, they're big, but I can see, someone saying to their small child who perhaps can't get up there, we'll just lay it to the side, and that can be a concern because, again, it's coming into Lincoln. And is that something that we, or any of us, really want to see? And then we certainly don't want some of those things ending up there in the wetlands area, in that trail area.
So Commissioners, if I can add just a little bit of staff color. The staff report started with the fact that this bin came to the attention of code enforcement. That's because there was dumping at these bins. There was actually another site in Lincoln over by Zebratown Liquor where there was another one of these bins that was placed without receiving a conditional use permit. That property owner decided because of the dumping, it wasn't worth their time and effort to have a conditional use permit. This project was run through code enforcement, and there is not support for code enforcement for this project.
Thunder, because we were apparently thinking alike, but that's why I brought this picture tonight. It shows some things already on the ground. So I'm going to go back now at least 16 years ago. We had a place where people used to dump their newspaper before you could recycle it. Now we have, I think everybody has, they can put your papers in your garbage. Way back when they couldn't, we had a collection point for newspapers. And I remember driving by it, and you could see newspapers coming out of the container. It was so full. And then to back up what you said, everything you could imagine besides newspapers piled around it, so that it became a horrific problem because the people who were coming there were going to take away newspapers, but they didn't want this other stuff, the collection people. And so it stayed there, and it became a real problem. And I believe in this part, I'm not sure of, we discontinued that because the garbage company changed their policy and it just wasn't working. So I think it's critical that whatever decision we make, we not feel comfortable because it's a conditional use permit, we have recourse. I think we have to look at this project that we take all the safeguards, all the comments that have been made so far into consideration and do everything in our power to harden the target before we say, okay, that's my opinion. Anybody from the public do we have to open a public hearing on this? Okay. Do we have anything else from the board before we let the public give their input?
One question. I'm assuming this is not a nonprofit organization? This is a for-profit commercial venture?
No, it's not.
It's not.
No. We are working with nonprofit organizations and we donate to them annually, but
But
Yeah.
your corporation is
Yes.
not a nonprofit?
no, it's not.
Okay.
Okay, with that, if we don't have any more, you'll get another chance after we hear from the public. Open the public hearing. Anybody from the public wish to speak on this item, please approach the podium.
Chairman Gilbert, I didn't receive any cards and it doesn't look like there's any hands raised in the room. However, I do have hands raised online.
Let's hear from them, please.
Holly Jensen, unmute your device and you should be able to speak. Let's test it. Your mic is still muted. Unmute your mic, please. Holly Jensen. Holly Jensen, I do see your mic is still muted. Please unmute your device. Okay, well, while you're trying to figure that out, why
Oh,
not?
hello.
Oh, there you
Yes.
go. There you go.
Hello. My name is Holly Jensen. Can you hear me all right?
Yes.
Okay. I am the lead director of real estate for CVS Health, CVS Pharmacy in the states of California and Hawaii. And I want to bring to your attention that we do not, first of all, consent. The landlord does not have a right to put this donation bin at the shopping center. And I told them that earlier today. And I think prior to that, it's in violation of our lease. But besides the fact, part of my job is to make sure that none of these donation bins are located at any shopping center where there is a CVS, because not only are they a nuisance for the reasons that many of you have described, but also they are not only dangerous, but they have actually proven to be fatal, believe that or not. A woman died in Southern California in one of these bins. The way that they are designed poses a risk. If you drop a cell phone in and you think you're going to go in and get it, you won't get out the way they are designed. And I'm happy to take this offline and go into further detail if you would like me to explain to any of you. Second of all, I would like to understand a little better about this quote unquote charity. I do not believe that the contents of these bins go to charity. I don't see the charity listed on the outside of the bins. And what we've learned is that it gets sold by the pound. And like I think one of you mentioned, this use is not paying. CVS and other tenants in the center pay what is considered a common area maintenance fee for use of the center. And these bins just get dropped off all over California. Again, we do not consent to this. We don't consent to the trash that gets piled up next to it. We don't consent. We have safety first policy. We don't consent to the violation of safety that these pose. And like I said, they've even proven to be fatal. You can go on Google yourself and check it out.
Thank you for your input. Do we have?
I have no other hands raised.
I'll bring it back to the commission, and if anybody has comments or they want to push us in a direction,
Close the public hearing.
close the public hearing. Bring it back to my colleagues. If you have further comment or if you want to propose an action, please.
I'd like to ask you a question, Chairman Gilbert. In your comments before public comment, you mentioned that all the things that were said, that maybe you'd like to see staff possibly take some of that into consideration. Can we give like advice or things that, or ideas that we think, or can we do that? in
Yes,
this
matter
setting?
of fact, there's a couple actions we could take
Okay.
as a body. We could table this, but before we tabled it, we would give direction to staff to bring it back with whatever we want as additional input. That's one Or we could just table it, and that kills it. Or we could vote on it and either vote it up or vote it down. So those are the three things that we could do as a legislative body right now.
And just for clarification, tabling it is an action. So if the only way to have it sort of die on delivery is to take no action.
Yes, exactly. Thank you. That's why we have an attorney here, because I'm not an attorney.
I'm going to
She does a
summarize.
Wonderful
Yeah.
job for us.
Well, thank you. I'm going to summarize my thoughts, and then I'll let the rest of the commission get to it. But one, I think we can do better. I think safety needs to be considered, and my comments are towards staff. I think the location is a bad idea. It's a 2-lane road right there. You're going to have people stopping, getting out of their car. I think at a minimum, we should have at least 1, if not 2 parking spots that have a 5-minute limit that allow people that are just there for that. So that would eliminate that problem. I don't think our our master plan has anywhere for anything like this in parking lots. I think I might be able to bend that thought if it was behind the center. I don't think it's something that meets what the center needs. We have a Goodwill about 1/8 of a mile away coming that gives the same thing to our community. They're in a brick and mortar position that meets everything. They don't need a conditional use permit. I don't think we should use the hammer that we have on conditional use permits as a way to say, hey, let's just go ahead and move forward with it because, hey, we can always take it away. I think we need to do better. And I think everybody has different concerns, and I think all those concerns should be met in a plan and brought to us. And if anybody wants to make a motion to vote on it, I would support that as well. Thank you, Chairman.
Comments or proposed action?
Well, I would propose to make a resolution to deny the application.
I just have one point of clarification too. As I reread the staff report, I note that the applicant here is actually Tex Green. The applicant for a conditional use permit for property, the proper applicant is the property owner, not the bin company. So that may be a legal error in the
So
application.
just based on that, your motion is very much in order, Jerry.
I'll second the motion.
We have a motion and we have a second. Any discussion?
I just want to add that I appreciate the feedback, staff. Thank you for the information, and I agree with my colleagues here. I think these are designed, I know there's enough parking spots according to the design, but I think these are designed for larger parking lots. And I don't see the benefit to our community. I think ultimately, I don't see the benefit that's going to come back to Lincoln with this. So I'm inclined to vote on this now instead of continuing the item to a later date.
Any other comments before we vote?
Sounds like I'm pretty in line with my fellow colleagues. I just wanted to clarify what the motion is on the table right
Motion
now.
is to deny.
Motion is to deny. Okay.
Okay, any other questions? Call the question. Please call the roll.
Roll call to deny the resolution. Commissioner Herzog?
Yes. Or are we going aye or yes?
Either one.
Okay.
They
It's a-
both work.
It's a yes to deny.
Commissioner Hutchinson?
Yes.
Vice Chair Johnson?
Yes.
Commissioner Jerry Johnson?
Yes.
Commissioner Manning?
Yes.
Chairman Gilbert?
Yes, so motion to deny is approved, 6-0-1. And I will encourage the applicant to give some thought to this, work with staff, now that the staff understands the commission's position. And if something can be worked out in a different location with very different terms and conditions, you're welcome to bring it back.
Thank
Do you
you.
have anything you want to say, sir?
No, thank you.
Thank you.
Just to clarify, vote is 6-0-0. Everybody said,
Well, that's right, we don't have a
Yes.
one.
okay,
Have
thank you.
a one soon. Okay, thank you very much. That closes item 10. We go to item 11, general business. We have 3 general business items tonight. 11A, general plan annual progress report. And who's going to handle this?
That will be me. Good evening, Planning Commissioners. My name is Efren Sanchez, Senior Planner with Community Development Department. The project we have before you is the 2024 General Plan Annual Progress Report, or APR for short, which is a report designed to monitor the city's overall implementation of the general plan. State law requires that each city and county prepare an annual progress report. The same state law requires that the annual progress report must be presented to the local legislative body for review and acceptance prior to submitting to the Office of Planning and Research, OPR, and the California Department of Housing and Community Development, HCD, by April 1st of every year, similar to like Texas. The housing element portion of the APR is prepared through the use of standard Excel form adopted by HCD, which is why it has been included on this agenda item as attachment number 2. In addition to state law, the City of Lincoln's General Plan Land Use Element Policy LU 8.1 requires staff to share the APR with the Planning Commission as a standard procedure. The City of Lincoln's general plan has a total of 109 implementation measures across all 7 elements. The table found on this slide is a summary of the progress the city has made towards implementing all 109 implementation measures. Additional specific information about these implementation measures can be found in attachment 1. The 2008 general plan guides the orderly development of the city with a planning horizon of 2050, representing a built-out population of 132,000 residents. Last year, we were able to complete 1 implementation measure for the housing element with the adoption of the ADU ordinance, and 5 health and safety implementation measures changed their status from incomplete to ongoing. So you might be wondering, what is an implementation measure? Well, an implementation measure is a specific action, program, or procedure that is designed to carry out the policies outlined within the general plan. This slide provides a summary of the information that is available in the housing element APR, which is attached on the agenda as attachment number 2. In 2024, the city permitted 535 dwelling units. Of those, 531 were single-family dwellings and 4 ADUs. That's 77 more homes compared to calendar year 2023. Currently, we're in the housing element 6 cycle, which spans from May 15, 2021 to May 15, 2029. The state has assigned the City of Lincoln's RHNA number, which is Regional Housing Needs Allocation Number, of 5,120 units. The city's progress so far has been able to produce 2,288 units towards our RHNA goals. This leaves us a remaining balance of 2,832 units by the time we reach May 2029. Yeah.
Page. So could we also understand when we issued 531 single-family dwellings, how many we completed during the year?
Yes, that's outlined in table B of attachment 2, and it's also, yeah, that works towards our RHNA number, which is the 5,120. It counts towards it.
In the general plan, there's a policy that we attempt to have a diversity of housing stock, condos, apartments, single-family homes, small homes, EDUs, et cetera. Are we kind of picking that up here as a goal?
Well, as part of like, so with the RENA numbers, the Regional Housing Needs Assessment, it says that all jurisdictions, cities and counties must provide different levels of, or units at different levels of affordability. So that's, like the extremely low, moderate, and above moderate. So the 5,120 units, it's broken up into like what income categories we have to apply by the time we reach the planning horizon of May 2029.
And how are we doing on that?
Like I stated, so far, we've added 2,288 units.
I mean, if there's low, there's categories there. How are we doing in the categories?
Yeah, if you
Okay.
want, I can go ahead and pull up the Excel and I can go through that with you guys as well after my presentation, or
I have a,
yeah, I can highlight that for you.
yeah, that'd be interesting to see too. But at some point.
Okay, so this is, can you see my screen?
Mhm.
Okay. So when the state issued us a total of 5,120, dwelling units by the time we reach the 2029 horizon. So far it's broken up by like, either very low, moderate. So this is our RENA allocation. So in the very low category, we should strive towards making 1,496 units. In the low category, we were assigned 902, as striving towards producing low. And then 807 for moderate, and then above moderate, it's 1,915. To the wards right.
But we could see what the.
Correct.
I have a,
That's an eye
I have a
test.
I have a question while you're on there. What is considered very low and then what's considered low? Because so
Yeah.
far we haven't had any progress in those areas, and I assume to hit the target by 2029, we're gonna have to do a lot of very low and low.
And so this is just goals, right? So this is the state assigning us a goal for a regional housing needs allocation. So this is like, hey, jurisdiction, you should strive towards meeting this goal. So, as long as we meet one of the sections, like even the above moderate, provide that, we're still in compliance with, with the state's RENA allocations.
What happens if we don't meet our goals?
Well, that's, basically if you don't meet the goals, there's no real punishment. It's more towards like, then now, the following housing cycle, you have to justify, why, or you have to justify as part of this APR, like why you haven't met those goals, and then what you're doing to strive towards it.
And I would just add, really what we can do and what they expect us to do is to provide the zoning and sites for these, for the, I guess, the market to kind of come in and do that, where like tax credited low-income housers, come in and have the sites available. Like that's what we can control. We can zone it for that. We can provide high density sites and then identify that. But in terms of like, they don't expect us to be like us actually, soliciting and so, but that's where we would get in trouble if we don't have like the zoning.
The remedy is that the state can come in if the city has not done its homework and has the available zoning. They can come in and file a lawsuit and force you to rezone. So we don't have that issue as best I can tell here in Lincoln. There are some jurisdictions that are caught up in litigation right now with the state that are basically no growth, unwilling to rezone kind of communities.
But we have like enough vacant land inventory to try to strive towards meeting all these income categories. So it's just continuous monitoring of that and reporting every year to like where we are with our progress.
I have I guess kind of a technical question. What's the definition of a unit? that we're measuring. So for example, over in 12 Bridges, we have the high density area.
Yep.
The apartments, whatnot, multiple units in there. Is each one of those considered a unit?
So yeah, so
For that
units are,
purpose?
yes, units
Okay.
are considered single-family dwellings. Single-family dwellings are attached, 2 to 4, duplexes, triplexes, each one. And then like apartments, individual apartments, those are all units.
Okay.
ADUs,
Yes.
all
Okay.
a unit, yeah.
So theoretically, when that comes online, that's gonna give a lot.
The
Okay.
unit is really regardless of size, it's more based on affordability
Uh-huh.
of the unit, which by definition, then they're typically smaller if they're more affordable.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And then as far as that too, so what I was hearing, as long as we're setting aside the zoning, like the opportunities there,
Yes.
that's more what they're worried about, because obviously we can zone it, but a developer has to come in and say, I'm gonna build.
Yeah,
And we can't really
we can't
control
really
that.
control the market. We
okay.
just
There
have
is-
to have those
They don't
opportunities.
expect us to, to build the houses. They just
Yeah.
expect us to work with the developer, just to do it, and the zoning is there.
There
Okay.
is one way.
It actually goes a step further. There's got to be the affordability. So when you have high interest rates, they're not that high now, but they're much higher than they were a few years ago. That also is another barrier
Yeah,
because it cuts out the people at the bottom because they can't qualify for the loan, they can't afford the payment and all the rest. So fortunately, we don't have to deal with that.
right, okay. That makes
So
more
there is
sense.
one topic that we broached and just started discussing, which is a hot topic, but it is in our housing element to contemplate, which is inclusionary zoning, which is passing a ordinance that says we are going to require developers to provide 10% affordable. And imagine, I don't know. There's pros and cons to that. We're evaluating that. The policy itself says, thou shalt look at ways to mitigate, that impact on a housing developer's bottom line. And density bonus program then allows, well, so say you include the 10%, you're going to get a bonus density bonus, which allows you to build more units than would otherwise be zoned. So we were kind of thinking like, well, how does that pencil, provide 10% low, and then I get a 20% density bonus, is that appealing to developers? And my experience has been really tough sell. And in San Diego and other places where, you even get to the point where developers are like, well, we'll put all of our low income on the first 3 floors of this tower. And so we had to pass another ordinance to say, nope, spread them up around the building. We're not going to squire them away. So, yeah, I would imagine that inclusionary zoning would be a pretty lightning rod issue in this community. But
Yeah, and when we say affordable, I guess that has a couple different meanings, right? Or could be affordable is it's cheaper to buy, and then affordable is like the actual designated, I forget the title. number,
Well,
but-
yeah, there would be like by the income, those, exactly, those like you were asking what very low is, what low is and what, so we have a table actually that kind of gives you a little bit more color as to like what that means in terms of, oh, I'm at, median income of Placer County is $113,000. So a moderate, affordable or a moderate housing unit would be someone who can make between 80 and 120% of the median income that they can afford that unit. So it's a little bit, we can show you this table.
Okay.
It's
Yeah,
pretty
I have
interesting.
the,
Yeah,
I have
there's
the
math,
slide.
backward and forward.
If I can
Sure.
show this
But-
PowerPoint slide, I
But
can
that's only
illustrate
based
that for you
on,
guys.
that's only based on the price of the home. I imagine the kind of challenges we have in Lincoln is that we have city services that we have to provide that are difficult for us. And so now we've adopted CFDs, and CFDs then add to the price of the home, which make which is not included in that equation. So a price you may be able to acquire a home, but the cost to live in the home is actually a lot higher.
Exactly, and we actually were looking at the assumptions that this calculator makes in terms of affordability, and it includes an impressive amount of property taxes, your utility load, yeah. I don't know if with the CFD, that might be an extra level that bumps it up, but the state's affordability calculator.
I think our city passed a 4% max on CFDs, which is high, right?
Yeah. Efren, maybe we can
Yeah,
show.
if I can have IT to please show my PowerPoint slide. Okay, thank you. Okay, so our area medium income, so this is in Placer County, for a family of four is 113,900. So that's the AMI, area medium income. And so by definition, I was trying to going back to Commissioner Eric Johnson. So someone that, it makes, below 80% of the AMI would be 91,120. And so that's how you calculate affordability. So affordability by the state standards, by HCD standards, is anything that falls within, the first four categories. And of course, if you earn more than 120% of the area median income, then you're considered above moderate. And so what this table is trying to do illustrate that, a family of four a family of four that makes 113,900, it's essentially like, the affordable, the house of the price of the house, you're looking at somewhere in the 390,000 range, which, a lot of houses aren't for sale, at least not in new construction. So then you also have it breaks it down by either mortgage. So here's the mortgage payment for that figure. And then, this is what it would be if it was like a unit for rental. So 3,250, to 3,250 a month, you're still at moderate income, which is still in the affordability category. But of course, anything above that, income of 336 or above the 390,500 sales price, that's considered above moderate. So in our housing data, a lot of our housing inventory that we produced in 2024 fell under the above moderate income because there's no houses really that are around this price range.
So I'd like to comment on that. And where you talk about the rental
Yes.
versus purchase. So that's why you see large funds coming in and building homes in communities like ours, and you see this rent a home, and they only care that they're getting into the market with their investable multi-million-dollar funds, building the home, getting enough cash flow from the rent to take care of their debt service, knowing that 3 years, 2 years, 5 years, 8 years from now, they can go to the market and sell that home at a very nice profit. So that is allowing people to get into a home, but it's not allowing ownership, which is the American dream, right?
No, I appreciate that. So, yeah, that leads us to our staff's recommendations. So staff recommends that the Planning Commission receive and file the information contained in the staff report, determine that the APRs are not a project under CEQA, and review the 2024 APRs and recommend that the City Council receive and authorize the reports be sent to HCD and OPR by April 1st. So that concludes my presentations.
Any questions? Do we need a public hearing on this? Okay. Very good. Any public comment? Oh, please, go ahead.
I have a question, and it's very lighthearted, actually, very well done. But at the beginning of your report, very well done report. Thank you. It says that the 50-year general plan is award-winning.
I'm sorry.
It's award-winning. What was the award that was won?
Oh,
It was a national award. I wasn't involved in, but I've read about it. And it was 20-something years ago. And you redid your general plan, you submitted it, and then certain plans recognized nationally as being superbly done, which ours was. The problem is it's 20 years old.
yeah, and
Yeah.
And it cost an arm and a leg to redo. that plan.
I didn't want to let that also pass by without acknowledging the good work that was done 20 years ago. And I think we should do another good quality work moving forward. So thank you for your presentation.
Do we have any public comment? Okay, we'll move
There
on.
is none online.
Okay, thank you. So that was 11A. Now we have 11B.
We need to vote on 11A.
Pardon?
There needs to be a vote on 11A.
Chair will entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Do we need a roll call?
For clarification, we are recommending that City Council receive and authorize the reports to be sent to the State of California Housing and Community Development and Governor's Office of Planning and Research.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Roll call. Chairman Hutchinson, sorry, Commissioner Hutchinson.
Yes.
Vice Chair Johnson,
Yes.
Commissioner Herzog,
Yes.
Commissioner Jerry Johnson,
Yes.
Commissioner Manning,
Yes.
and Chairman Gilbert.
Yes. Motion passes 6-0.
Thank you, Chair. And at this time, I'm going to need to excuse myself. I still have a phone call I need to make before it gets too late that affects all day tomorrow. So, so thank you very much. You're in capable hands.
I think we're out of the legal weeds here, hopefully.
It was good to have you for that last item we talked about earlier, so thank you. Okay, 11B, Planning Commission 2025 meeting schedule. Staff recommends approval of the 2025 schedule. We have a staff reporter. Is it not necessary? We have a motion.
I move approval.
I second.
We do a yay, nay?
You can do a voice call or it could be roll call.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. 11C, Planning Commission Design Review Board appointee. The commission shall appoint a Planning Commission member to the Design Review Board. Our current member from the commission is my colleague to my immediate left.
Not a
Uh,
current member.
Pardon?
Not a current member of the DRB. I haven't been, the two members had just rotated in as city council members. No, I haven't served. I served 5 years.
Oh,
And then it was,
okay.
it is, and if I may for just a moment, it is a very good opportunity, especially for people coming on to the commission to learn. I was privileged to have the 5 years, and it was a great learning experience. I'm very happy to see that you have an architect that is going to be on the DRB now. But if any of my colleagues would like the opportunity to serve on the Design Review Board, and it's a commitment of once a month on a Wednesday morning, the fourth Wednesday of the month, I would love to have one of you volunteer. And if not, I have told our chairman that I would, because I have the time, that I would be able to do it. But I would love to see someone else who especially is newer on, no arm twisting here, someone who is newer on the board. You really do learn a lot, and you have a lot of opportunity to work with the developers and their agents on things that affect our city.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
2 years ago, or not quite 2 years ago, I spoke with the city manager, and we had 2 people from the planning commission that wanted to go on it, and he gave us the second slot. So we had 2 planning commissioners. One of them was just elected to the city council, so
Yeah, they both were.
well, they both were, but I mean, and he has now, or someone has nominated an architect. Pardon? Yes, well, right, correct. I don't know that he actually recruited him, but it is his appointment. And I can say from my experience on a previous city council, it's great to have an architect at that point because they've got the eyes and training to stop things before they go any further. You know, so anyway, who on our body would like to?
I'd like to serve on it, but I can't give up a Wednesday morning for it. I could do it Wednesday afternoon. I don't know if there's any flexibility on that.
They have their set time. You know, with the city manager, certain staff people have so many other meetings that that's when it had to be slotted in. There's somebody else, what did you say that was the fourth Wednesday?
The fourth Wednesday of each month is what it has been in the past. Am I correct? Yes.
They're somewhat frequently canceled if
Yes,
there's
they
no
are.
items, so.
Well, just like our meetings.
Yes.
Sometimes.
We canceled a couple last year because for lack of any activity.
With that said, Christian, the February DRB or Design Review Board meeting next Wednesday is canceled.
Maybe we could offer a compromise because, as I say, I'm the one that is not working outside of the home. And I have the opportunity to do it. But Jerry, what would be nice is I would really welcome your feedback because you have a very good eye. And so if I were appointed, you know, in lack of anyone else doing it, and Jerry, if I shared the can I do that? Share the information and then have you go over it and you can perhaps provide me some of your comments? I mean, would that be I'm asking, would that be appropriate, Mel?
That's a great idea.
the-
Let's vote.
I said, that's a great idea. We got somebody stepping up. Let's vote.
I mean, I'm your
Let's get it,
classic.
let's not talk too much about this.
Yeah, I'm your classic compromiser. So I mean, that might give us.
Are you saying that I can nominate you and
Yeah,
you'll
you
accept?
can nominate me and then I would work with Jerry and
Okay,
I would expect guidance.
I'll nominate Michelle.
Aye.
I would then expect guidance
We'll
from
take
Jerry.
that aye as a second as well.
That's a second. Let's go.
Okay, you've done a very good job at that, and you've shown up at at our meetings with some valuable information because you're kind of, you know, seeing it a little ahead of time and spending a little more time analyzing.
Yeah, it's great to be involved in it. It's just.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Can-
Okay.
Can I just clarify who second? Was it
Manning.
Commissioner
Yeah,
Manning? Thank
yeah.
you.
And I want to thank you for stepping up. I would love to be on that committee, but 9 a.m.s for me at this point in my life are almost impossible. So for you two to step up, that's awesome. Thank you. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Working outside of. I'm retired.
Is that what we are? You
Yeah,
and
I
me?
guess so.
Okay.
I'm probably busier now than I ever was, but I do have time for that.
Item 12, Commissioner comments. We'll start here. Do you have any words of wisdom you'd like to share with us?
I just want to thank everyone for welcoming me, first meeting here in Lincoln. If you don't know, I've been a planning commissioner for Placer County. And so I really enjoy this work and thinking about planning. I think ultimately, what I'm really passionate about is designing communities for families and thinking about education. In my day job, I work at Jessup University, where I'm the dean of the School of Education. And so building schools and communities that are healthy and allow families to thrive is really important to me. So thank you.
Thank you. And you bring a certain level of expertise that's going to be very valuable to us. So thank you. I was really excited when I saw you were selected by the council. Tony?
Yeah, I'm really excited to be back. I love this stuff. I think I can help. I can't wait to debate with Peter. And just everybody on here, I'm really excited to be on the board. I think this is going to be, I think we've got some exciting times ahead of us. And I'm glad to contribute and I'm glad to be among all of you. So thank you. Staff, thank you very much. It's going to be a good time and let's try to do the best we can. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony. Thanks for coming back on. Jerry?
I'd like to welcome Nathan and Tony too. I'm look forward to working with you. If you ever want to know my top 10 of of what I think is important in the general plan, I'd be happy to talk with you about that. So yeah, welcome aboard.
All right. Congratulations, Eric, Vice Chairman.
Oh, yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you. Just wanted to welcome our new commissioner, Commissioner Herzog, and I appreciate your comments, kind of your focus, developing family-friendly community, kind of promoting those values. That's something that I've strived to do as well. So I'm looking forward to that further partnership on here, and your skill set sounds like. So welcome. Want to welcome back friend and colleague, Commissioner Manning. I know it's been a couple years since we served together on here, but it's good to see you back, back up here. So like you said, looking forward to a great time. Seems like we have a great commission going on right now. So looking forward to that. The group had to leave already, but I did want to recognize the youth group from our church that showed up tonight. From the Lincoln Second Ward of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints here in Lincoln. It was great to see the youth locally expressing interest and learning how the local government system works. So that was pretty neat to see them here. Hopefully it wasn't too dry and boring for them. I know it's a little different for teenagers, but just wanted to, recognize them and thank them for coming out as well.
I wanted to say congratulations to Vice Chair Johnson. I'd say you've been through this before. Congratulations to Chair Gilbert, to thank everyone for all of the support that you provided to me last year, especially in light of the fact that I started out with a massive heart attack in January of last year. So I'm really grateful for all of your support. And last year was a fun and good year for us, and I'd like to see us continue in that vein, and I'm happy to help in any way that I can. And I am serious, Jerry, about contacting you as far as some of the challenges of the DRB, because you do have a good eye, much better than I do on some things. So I welcome your input.
If I can, to see that you all get your opportunity to give your valued input on anything before us. I think it's going to be a busy year for us. And with that in mind, I think we'll really make our mark in this next year. And Tony, we can have some great discussions. People call them something else, but we'll call them discussions. You and I have arm wrestled a lot over different things, but I can still smile when I see you and feel good. So let's continue along those lines.
Absolutely.
Thank you, and we will call the meeting adjourned. Thank you.